So this is what I don't understand. What I don't understand is why white, gender nonconforming, and trans people could conceptualize their own transition as something that has an impact on other people on a systemic level. Like, I don't understand how you transition and then you feel like that in of itself is transgressive to the point that it's disrupting the status quo. Maybe y'all can help me make sense of that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Dude, I got a hilarious story or TikTok reaction for you guys today, because I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I have no clue what the hell is going on, and I need you guys' help trying to interpret what is being said here, right? And what is this conversation about? What is this person trying to say, okay? It sounds like this person who we're going to talk about, who's a black non-binary woman on TikTok, she's going to basically argue that white people can't be non-binary because gender is white supremacy, right? Like, the belief in two sexes is racist, right? I just find this conversation that's going on TikTok around this woman's TikTok to be truly fascinating stuff, okay? It just reveals how we do live in a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs society. But before we get in, I just want to let you guys know, if you want to support my channel, you can check out my new donkey pox merch, the disease that is destroying America. And some of the symptoms include things like pregnant men, which is what this TikToker probably believes in. Or you can check out one of my hashtag no days off / hard work patriotic t-shirts, and you can get them at gforemanbcp.com, 20% off using discount code gforemanbcp. So without further ado, roll the clip.
I don't really believe that you could be a non-binary. Something about it doesn't make sense to me. How are you going to be a non-binary, but it's people who invented the gender binary, it's people who uphold the gender binary, it's people who spread the gender binary around the world to justify the oppression of black and brown people globally. It's something about that just doesn't make sense. Like, how are people going to opt out of the gender binary? Meanwhile, we're seeing cis black women being pushed out of, sporting events and stuff like that because their testosterone is too high. But we get to have people who the gender binary has done nothing but serve tell us that they want to opt out, and they're not dismantling the gender binary. It don't make sense. It don't.
Okay, so honestly, I had to listen to that like 5 or 6 times to really understand what she's trying to say. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong here. Yeah, I need you guys' help. I think what she's trying to say is that white people can't be non-binary because they uphold the binary system, aka the system of two sexes. Which, I mean, basically what she's saying is that it is white supremacy, okay? It is white supremacy to believe in binary gender, right? And that black people, right, or non-white people inherently don't necessarily fit the binary, right, or the idea of binary sexes. And she supports his argument by talking about some African female runners that got banned from competing in the Olympics because their testosterone levels were too high, right? And their testosterone levels were naturally too high, okay? They weren't on performance enhancing drugs, which, I mean, honestly, who can really say for sure? Because when you compete in the Olympics, right, I personally believe that any athlete that's competing at the elite level, in order to actually really compete, you have to be on drugs, right? I mean, I don't care if you're in the NBA, NFL, golf. I mean, I don't care what it is. If you're competing at the elite level, you are doing some type of enhancements, in my opinion. Okay, there's just too much money involved, right? There's just too much at stake. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that these runners may not necessarily be on, testosterone or performance enhancing drugs. I don't know, right? But that is the example that she uses, right? And I personally have issues with this. But before I say why I have an issue with it, I want to say this. I can imagine somebody who is white and conservative, or white and not necessarily down with the woke movement, right, or the woke gender ideology. They're probably listening to this and saying, you know, I really don't take too much issue with this, right? If you're saying that gender is basically a trait of whiteness, right? The idea of two genders being inherent to white people, they probably don't have too much of a problem with what this woman is saying, right? They're probably like, oh, this is based, right? This is based, okay? We totally agree with that. You're absolutely right. As whites, we totally agree with the idea that they're just two genders, okay? And as a black person, I take total offense to this, right? Because, again, what she's trying to do here is push this idea that, you know, woke gender ideology, and by extension, sexual ideology as well, too, is inherent to non-white people, aka it's inherent to colored people, right? Which is the same thing that they do to try to mix LGBTQ and black people together as one group. They say, no, LGBTQ is naturally inherent to black people, right? Like, that is something that you guys just, you know, are about, right? Naturally, okay? But, you know, white people, no, they're not about that naturally, okay? In fact, white supremacy is all about oppressing that type of stuff, right? Again, as a conservative, again, that really does offend me, right? I'm triggered, right? I'm triggered, okay? But you know what's actually fascinating about this conversation, okay, is the white people that got on their knees and started begging and pleading for forgiveness while trying to contribute to this conversation and trying to explain how their whiteness can be mixed in with non-binariness and trying to essentially get a form of acceptance from people who won't ever really accept them, because people like her, she's a racist. But let's listen to these white non-binary people try to explain themselves anyways. Take a listen.
When my friends sent me that video, they said, this is not a white-friendly video, put your grown-up hat on. And the gender binary has been upheld by people for such a long time. So how can we opt out of something that we are actively participating in upholding? Another creator who I have really appreciated since I pretty much joined TikTok, Mooney Maroon, brings up the pronouns they, them, and how they have not felt gender neutral for a lot of non-communities for a long time. That it's been kind of co-opted and colonized and turned into a third gender of its own. And Mooney brings up a really good point that using they, them for a black woman plays into the masculinization of black women that has been a racially violent problem historically.
I understand this might not be my place because I am a white non-binary person. If it's not, tell me and I'll take it down and I'll apologize. But I did want to talk about this because they're right and I agree with them. I want you guys, especially white people, to go watch that video, and I'll tag another creator who made a video on this topic that I really agreed with. And I want you to actually listen to what they're saying. Because if your first reaction when you heard that was to get angry, you're in the wrong. You're wrong. Gender and whiteness are synonymous. Gender was used to oppress people of color. I'm not saying that as a white person, you have to agree with your gender assigned at birth. But what I am saying is that as a white person, you can't speak for the non-binary community as a whole. As a white person, you can't speak for the queer community as a whole. People, like queer people of color, whether non-binary or not, actually just people in color in general, have had a more difficult experience with gender than you as a white person could have ever had.
Whiteness is my gender. Whiteness and white privilege are inherited in gender identity. 10 times out of 10, I will not experience racism on top of being transgender. I know my skin gives me a layer of protection and allowance from other white people to present myself outside of the white normality. I know that queerness for a lot of bigots presents in their mind as the black trans women who fought for decades to earn my rights to exist now. I know that the government in place in this country wants to eradicate queer rights, not because they fear their straight and religious lifestyles are being threatened, but because there are more white queer people today, which means there'll be less white babies. For a lot of white queer people, their first reach out of that oppressive normality is towards BIPOC culture. Is it wrong in cultural appropriation? Absolutely.
Bruh, I'm just flabbergasted, man. Like, I don't know what to say. I mean, she's essentially just saying that the last person literally just said being non-binary is basically BIPOC culture, which she basically means it is a black thing. It is specifically a black thing. It is a black thing to be non-binary, right? It is a part of our culture. Do you guys hear this? Every black person, particularly black conservative that's listening to this video, this is what they're doing. They're pushing this on us, saying that this is us. This is inherent to us, okay? And I'm just like, come on, man. Once again, we got the woke revolutionaries giving white people all the best traits, right? They assign hard work, working hard, the Protestant work ethic, inherently white, right? Only white people work hard. Thinking rational thinking. White people, only white people think rationally. The scientific method, whiteness, right? Slavery, right? Or owning slaves, just whites, right? Now they done gave to whites. They created the gender binary, right? They created the idea that there's only two sexes. Bro, why they always give white people? They give white people the best traits, man. I don't understand. I don't get it. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It really does. Okay, it's just so hilarious to me. We always end up with the worst traits from these wokes. They give us the worst traits. Okay, I'm offended. Okay, I'm triggered. Right? But see, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing that a lot of these, white people that want to fit in with a lot of these woke revolutionaries, right? The ones that, identify as non-binary or whatever. This is a victimhood race, right? It is a race to the bottom, right, of the victimhood totem pole. Okay, that's what it is, because no matter what you say, these people will never be satisfied, regardless of your allyship.
So remember when I was like, hey, I don't really get how you could be white and non-binary, like it doesn't really gel, doesn't really make sense to me, and people were mad at me because I said that? Okay, so look at this comment, click on it, okay? I want y'all to click on it, and I want y'all to look at what video it was posted under, and I want y'all to look at who posted this comment, and then tell me again that I'm wrong as a black non-binary person for having mistrust from queers. Because even when we're super loud about our identities, you guys still see our existence as nothing more than just allyship to you. And how telling is that? How telling is that? But I'm gonna try to make it clear. This is the thing, right? So a lot of times when are marginalized, they think that the folks of color who are also marginalized by the same powers that be are experiencing the same marginalization as these people, and then something extra on top, aka the racism. I need y'all to understand that racism mixed with any marginalization creates a completely different, separate oppression that y'all don't experience at all.
Yeah, like I said, it's a race to the bottom, man. Who can be the biggest victim, okay? Who can be the most marginalized? And I'm trying to tell you, if you are white, it will be impossible to please these people, okay? So again, it's so cringy seeing all these oppressed whites get on their knees and beg these oppressed non-whites for love and acceptance when it's not gonna happen, right? Because you're not oppressed enough, okay? You're not oppressed enough because being non-white is inherently oppressive to these guys. You're dealing with people who are racist, right? That is the problem. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.